999ers risk their lives every day keeping us safe.
You're putting yourself out there to help other people at their most precious time of need.
But all too often, they're abused and attacked.
Their house is on fire and they're attacking us.
I was standing up with her hands around my throat.
These personal attacks on police, paramedics and firefighters are at an all-time high.
He's telling me, I'm going to kill your wife and I'm going to kill your family and I'm going to kill you.
Leaving them traumatised and unable to work.
How do you come to terms with knowing that you can't go and do the job that you love?
But while the violent criminals responsible are hunted down and brought to justice, our protectors fight to get well and back on the job.
We kept people safe, we put away the bad guys.
I'm not going to let some man ruin it for me. This is my future, this is what I enjoy doing.
Ready to face the next critical incident. Coming up, as firefighters rush to put out a fire, they're the target of a violent assault.
We've been attacked by somebody who needed our help.
A police officer becomes a victim in a domestic dispute.
He actually put me through the pane of glass.
And the impact is life-changing.
I lost everything that made me who I was.
And West Midlands police officers are confronted with chaos on Black Friday.
I've got too much risk of somebody getting injured at the moment.
Get back!
There was a house fire. Fire had broke through the front window.
The house was fully engulfed in flames and smoke. We put 2 teams in straight away.
Everything was going as it should be.
And then things just sort of started going wrong.
The port city of Hull in East Yorkshire. This is home to the White Watch crew of Humberside Fire and Rescue Service. They're much more than just a fire brigade and take great pride in serving their large community. Watch manager Greg Tucker has been with the fire service for 19 years.
Typically everyone thinks of a firefighter going out, putting fires out, getting cats out of trees, but there's a lot more to it than that. We deal with road traffic collisions. Being a coastal brigade, and we've got a big river running right through the middle of the county, we deal with a number of water rescue incidents. The role now is basically to prevent fires and prevent accidents.
This crew work 24-hour shifts, so they spend a lot of time together.
Hello. It's a very tight-knit watch, and it's important that you've got that. The trust aspect is huge, and we have all got each other's back. I can rely on them, and they can rely on me. I'll back them 100%. Got 1 or 2 characters on there, which I think every fire station has, and it just helps to build that camaraderie, and everyone sort of bounces off each other.
One of those characters is Luke Burzins, who's been a firefighter for 15 years.
My father was in the fire service. I've always seen him, as I was growing up, enjoying his job, and it's just something I've always wanted to do. Even from a young age, I can remember wanting to do it, and when I was finally old enough to apply, I applied at the age of 19 and got in. Daft as it sounds, I actually enjoy going into fires. I enjoy getting hands-on and looking after people. It's a rewarding job.
He's a really super professional guy. He takes a great deal of pride in the fact that he's a firefighter. He always wants to be the best that he can be. It's a real privilege to have him as part of my crew, and he brings a lot to it.
I wouldn't say it's a hard life, but it's not an easy life. The stuff we do go to, the stuff we see, you have to be able to have a laugh and a joke, but really serious when we need to be. We'll do stuff together, we'll play footy together and have a sit-down meal on the night, just to bond, really.
Luke is the self-appointed chef for the Watch and loves getting the crew round the table for a big feed.
As long as there's loads of it, they're usually happy.
I'm a bit of a feeder, I think.
Usually lots and lots of food, far too much, but we always manage to, or seem to manage to eat it. We manage to use every pot and pan in the kitchen, that's the only downside, so there's lots of washing up whenever Luke cooks. It is like a family. There's ups and there's downs, as there is with any sort of family, but overall, it's a very positive working environment, I think.
But Greg and Luke were put to the test in July 2019 when they were called out to a house fire in a nearby neighbourhood of Hull.
I was in charge of the second engine, Greg was in charge of the first engine. As I was coming down, there's a lot of people on either sides of the road already. There was a bad fire taking place. It was coming out of the downstairs windows. The house was fully engulfed in flames and smoke. We'd had reports that there might be people in there still, so we put 2 BA teams in straight away. So we had 4 people in the job in breathing apparatus.
Myself and Luke did a 360 and just had a little bit of a look around to see if the fire had spread where it was, and everything was going as it should be. The crews were in there dealing with the fire, searching the property to make sure everything was okay.
And then things just sort of started going wrong. There was a couple of gentlemen outside who were clearly under the influence. They was actually in the property at the time but managed to get out.
Friction started to arise between the occupants of the house on fire and other residents on the street.
At which point Luke tried to intervene to just stop it escalating and ending up in a fight.
I took him to one side, just basically tried to calm him down a little bit and just said, yeah, you're upset because your house is on fire, just calm down. He was fine with me at the time. Then he started giving abuse to this girl on the street and squaring up to her. So again, I pulled him away, just calm, and said, look, this needs to stop, mate. Come and sit over here with us. He just took offence to it, started throwing punches.
As Greg steps in to help keep things under control, Luke's assailant lashes out.
He spat at me, threw a beer can at me, the can hit me in the face. I don't want to start doing stuff that's gonna cost me my job at the end of the day, so I walked away from it.
Massive credit to Luke. Showed remarkable restraint in not reacting to it, and we just carried on dealing with the incident.
We still had a job to deal with. We still had BA crews in, which was our man and Greg's concern, is that this is happening outside. We've still got lads in the fire that need looking after.
Later, the violence escalates even more as the crew still battle to put out the fire.
Saw them both starting on Greg. I was worried because there was punches getting thrown.
Birmingham, often referred to as the UK's second city, due to its size and population of around 1.1 million. Keeping the peace in a city this big is no small feat, and life on the front line here can be dangerous. In 2019, West Midlands Police saw a 23% increase in the number of attacks against their officers.
It's going to be times 2 assault PC.
This means the officers must always be on their guard, and today they must be extra vigilant. It's Black Friday. Since its launch, Black Friday has been associated with huge crowds of shoppers. And with the increase in people comes an increase in crime. It's now part of the West Midlands policing calendar when planning their patrols.
Later on in the night, you'll have Sam.
Black Friday is now one of the busiest days that we have here throughout the whole year in Birmingham city centre. It's become a concern for ourselves because more people are attending the shopping centres, which has led to more people deciding to try and steal from shops. Not only that, we see a rise in the violent crime and organised people who are deciding to rob people of their personal belongings whilst they're just out shopping and going about their normal business. But not only that, it's a popular night of the year for people who are having their Christmas dues and going out partying with the nightlife that we have here in Birmingham.
And all this adds up to more danger for officers on duty. It's around 2 p.m. and PC Sean Palmer and Wajid Ali are on shift patrolling the streets around the city centre.
Demand tends to go up, we tend to get more calls for the city centre. It's a hot spot for antisocial behaviour, drug use, drug dealing. We have a lot of thefts, robberies. German market's also on as we're nearing Christmas, so people are enjoying a few drinks and getting quite merry. Some get a bit merrier than others, and sometimes we're called to go and intervene in drunken shenanigans and things like that.
With policing, no one day, 1 hour is the same, so anything can happen.
All officers are equipped with mobile devices, where any incidents occurring in their area are logged in real time.
We have access to the Police National Computer, so if you're stopping someone in the street or you go into a log, you can see if they've got any previous convictions with the police or they've been arrested before, if they're a missing person, if they've got any medical needs, all things really that help us do our job better and more efficiently. So we'll park up and we'll go for a walk and just see what we come across.
The city centre is buzzing, but everyone seems in good spirits.
So this top of here, which is Victoria Square, is one of our busiest hotspots for the German market, because that's where all the major bars are, and we get a lot of pickpocketing around in that area.
This guy with a sack has been caught red-handed. But while people are enjoying the atmosphere, a vigilant shopper has spotted a suspicious suitcase and informs the officers.
Yeah, just here.
Sean and Wajid make their way to the area.
Oh, there it is.
And find the dodgy article lurking by a bin.
21994 Bravo Whiskey. Thank you. If you had any logs for an unattended suitcase in the bull ring at all?
After a quick inspection...
It's just an empty suitcase. Someone probably just want to get it binned, so nothing in there.
Luckily, it's a false alarm.
We'll dispose of it so we don't get any further calls.
And as if by magic...
Get rid of this for us, please. Yeah, sure. It's just left here.
It's time for the officers to clock off and the next shift to take over.
Today has been okay, to be fair. We haven't seen a massive increase in calls to the police, but everyone's been sort of in good spirits, really.
Footfall's high, but in terms of any issues, we've not had any issues. Everyone's been peaceful, everyone's been nice and jolly, enjoy the festivities, enjoy the German market, and enjoy the shopping, so everything's been fine.
Black Friday has got off to a good start, but it's still early. Later, as the nightlife gets underway, crowds get out of control at a club.
It's a bit of chaos at the moment, to be fair, and there's a lot of people getting a bit irate.
Still to come. In Humberside, firefighters face even more aggression as they put out a house fire.
We're an easy target because we aren't going to retaliate. We're not there to do that.
And a police officer who's been the victim of a horrific attack discovers a passion that helps him on the road to recovery.
I had no hope, and now I'm living this just incredible life.
The Beast from the East in 2018 didn't stop these ram raiders from smashing their way into a shop. The thieves make 3 attempts to get into the shop. They then attach straps to the cash point to drag it out. They eventually manage to remove it, but it ends up abandoned on the street. The West Midlands Police get a call and are there within minutes. As they catch up, the gang ram into them.
This one.
A second police car joins the pursuit. It is also rammed by the gang.
We've just been rammed, 4-6, behind the 2 vehicles now. What road are we on?
A fire extinguisher is set off as the gang attempt to escape.
Thank you, Mike, 4-6, we've got...
The Land Rover crashes and the driver flees into a hedge.
Go, stop!
However, the police are hot on his heels. They swarm the area and find him hiding in the snow. Just 26 minutes after the 999 call, the police succeed in arresting the driver, despite being rammed twice.
At this point in time, you're under arrest for possession of burglary, you understand?
The driver pleaded guilty to burglary. He was also convicted of handling stolen goods and driving dangerously. He was sentenced to 4 years and 8 months in prison. The White Watch crew of Humberside Fire and Rescue Service have been called to a house fire in Hull.
We had 4 of the firefighters in breathing apparatus that had gone in to deal with the fire and established that there wasn't anybody in the property.
The 2 male occupants are in the street and becoming increasingly aggressive. One of them attacks firefighter Luke Burtons.
I saw this can whizzing across and hit him in the face and then be spat at.
I don't want to start doing stuff that's going to cost me my job at the end of the day, so I walked away from it.
As watch manager Greg can see the tension building in the street, he keeps a close eye on the situation.
The 2 occupiers started making their way down the street. It's unacceptable that somebody had been attacked, so we went to try and speak to them, find out who they were and what had happened. The other guy took his top off and decided he was going to try and attack me.
Saw them both starting on Greg. I was worried because there was punches getting thrown. And I ran in and managed to grab one of them.
The crew that were outside helped me restrain this guy, and one of the firefighters got on the radio and mobilised the police via our fire control. All the while, the incident's still live, so we've still got a crew trying to deal with the fire, and my concerns are obviously the safety of my crew that are in there and also the safety of members of the public around there, whilst we're still contending with these 2 guys that were just basically wanted to have a fight with us. Fortunately, there was nobody else in the property, so it was empty and we dealt with the fire, and that was, a satisfactory conclusion in that respect.
Fortunately, police arrive on the scene within minutes.
They took the guy into custody with his friend. It wasn't a case of simply just arresting him though. He started fighting with the police at this point and was kicking off with them.
As a fire and rescue service, unfortunately, we seem to go through periods where we end up with more assaults, whether that be verbal or physical. And I think in this case, it's probably one of the most extreme that we've seen, certainly here for Humberside. I was on duty of the evening of that call and I was quite shocked, firstly, at what I was informed of. And then when I arrived on scene, actually to see the discontent in the street. It's really important for me to make sure that, our firefighters are safe. Luke made the decision to go home, and it was the right call.
Luke did sustain some injuries from the attack, which became more apparent in the following days.
I had a red mark and grazing for quite a while. A few of the punches connected, but it was just strange. Didn't expect it.
He sent me some pictures the next day and you could see the swelling coming out further at that point, but also actually the shock of what had taken place.
The thing that annoyed me the most about it was the spitting.
To that bit, that was when I saw it kicking off, and that's where he spat then.
Yeah.
You see him go forwards.
Yeah.
And then I pushed him away.
I mean, the fighting's bad as well, but spitting's absolutely disgusting, and I had to not react to it. I don't want to get involved with stuff like that.
I saw him swing that first punch at you as well.
Yeah, starts coming towards me, windmilling. I was just like, is this really happening?
I was gutted myself that it happened because we've been attacked by somebody who needed our help. Their house is on fire, and they're actually now attacking us, which I can't get my head around. It's disgusting. It shouldn't ever happen.
Luke's attacker pleaded guilty to assaulting a firefighter. He received a community order and was ordered to pay £50 compensation. Both offenders were also sentenced for assaults on police officers who were responding to the incident.
It's a joke. I think this is one of the reasons that there's no deterrent to it. They've attacked myself, they've attacked and assaulted 2 police officers. I think the bottom line is it needs to be harsher.
We're an easy target because we aren't going to retaliate. We're not there to do that. So I think that people just think they can get away with it now if they do attack us, unfortunately.
But Greg and Luke are determined that incidents like this won't prevent them from doing the job they're so passionate about.
My feelings about the job haven't changed. It's not something I want to dwell on, it's not something I want to think about. I don't want it to happen again, but it's in the past.
I know that if Luke's going to deal with an incident, that it'll be resolved. I've no doubts in his ability whatsoever, be it an RTC, be it fire or water rescue. I know that I can rely on him 100%.
So it's business as usual for the White Watch crew. and their strong relationship has helped them move on from the vicious attack.
The lads are always there for you, but you're going to get a lot of mick taking as well from whatever's gone on. I'll have boxing gloves left in my locker or something like that. That's the part of this job you have to make a joke about it, because if you take everything too seriously, then you're going to end up depressed or you're going to end up sad about it. You've got to be able to joke about it. So the lads are going to have took the mick out of me quite a few times for it, but you expect it.
We go out together, socialise together, and that builds and fosters that family environment, really. Best get in the gym this afternoon then, Luke?
I'm going to need to. There's going to be a lot of food tonight.
I don't think you can underestimate the value of having that close unity.
Bit of beans, bread cakes.
Our job itself, at times, it does get you emotional. The stuff you see, the stuff you go to. Luckily, the good times do outnumber the bad times, but we're there for each other in the bad times. I know it sounds really cheesy and cliche, but you've got each other's backs and you're there for each other.
With the team in Hull stronger than ever, they're still pulling out all the stops, so they're prepared for the next incident.
It's just emphasising the importance of training so that everyone knows what they can do at a job and how things work. So we don't have to stop and think about things, we just react to it and deal with it as speedily as possible.
Today, being at the top of the aerial ladder platform, on Alp as we call it. It's a new piece of kit, that's why we'll come down here and practice with it and train with it. You've got the controls, you can move it up, down, left, right, all around.
It's an incredibly rewarding job, and I think probably the best job in the world. I love being a firefighter, I love coming to work, I love helping people, I love the guys that I work with. Everyone that joins the fire service has done that because they want to help people. If we come to an incident, we're going to do our best to resolve it, and we don't want you attacking us basically when we come to do a job that we're all really passionate about.
Attacks and assaults on officers aren't issues exclusive to the UK. Sadly, they're commonplace for our closest neighbour as well. Brendan Doyle has always been passionate about joining the Irish Police, known as the Guards.
I always had an affinity for wanting to join the emergency services, especially the police. I went through college and I remember sitting in a lecture one day and I smiled at myself because I knew that this is my career, my life sorted at such a young age. I was like 20 at the time, 21. I was just delighted to know that I was in the career which meant everything to me. It was all massively rewarding. Even on a one-to-one basis, I could still be that person who helped someone in need.
Brendan was stationed in inner city Dublin and was on night duty when he was called to attend a domestic disturbance.
These are very, very common, but they're the most volatile type of call that any police officer will ever deal with. It's an emotional situation, and coming in, wearing your uniform, it's a very, very kind of scary situation for all bodies involved. En route, we were, making our inquiries to make sure we knew what we were going into. Was there any priors in the house? Was there any weapons? And there was nothing there, so this was a standard call for all intents and purposes. I knew I was dealing with a suspect who had already beaten up his mum. She called because she was in fear of her own life. When we arrived, I saw the front door swing open, and this was even before I got out of the car. So he knew we were called and he knew we were coming.
When Brendan and his colleague entered the house, they could see the suspect had a weapon.
He raised the weapon above his head. There was a woman screaming at us in the house for help. I took out my own baton to protect myself. That's when he ran into the kitchen. Going into the kitchen is like dousing this whole situation in lighter fluid. It's an arsenal, because everything becomes a weapon. Knives, forks, boiling kettles. anything that's on the stove. It all can be used against us. But unfortunately, you know, he made the kitchen. As I approached the kitchen door, it was half wood, half glass, so I could see into the kitchen. Out of nowhere, he just peered out from behind the wall and holding a chef's knife, and he pointed that knife right at me. He went to stab me and then pushed me through, so he actually put me through the pane of glass. I didn't feel anything, which was kind of crazy. It wasn't until I looked down and I noticed that my hand was just dripping with blood, and I've never bled so hard in my life. And at that stage, my backup had arrived, and it actually took 2 riot shields from the public order unit to subdue the suspect. I walked out to the front of the house and I slumped down on the ground, and I just tried to stop the bleeding. It just wouldn't stop. One of my fellow members put me in the back of a patrol car and he brought me to the hospital. I was in the hospital for a few hours and I had to get some nerves removed and some work just to stop the bleeding. And I didn't get home till about maybe 4 o'clock that morning. And I slept like a baby that night, and I didn't know, but that was the last night of good sleep I would have for about 5 years.
Although Brendan had sustained some physical injuries to his hand, they weren't as significant as the sleepless nights he was about to endure because of the incident.
We've all had bad dreams, but a night terror is, you know, it's real. You think it's happening. So I was asleep, and in that dream, the suspect was stood over my bed with the knife, and I could actually feel my bed wet with my own blood. This would happen every night, and I would go to bed kind of growing more nervous about what's about to happen in sleep. And eventually, you know, I stopped going to sleep. It was so intense. My house felt like a prison. These feelings of frustration and anger seeped away into my daily life. I was afraid of the dreams. I was afraid of just constantly living on that day. I didn't want to live in that day anymore. I didn't want to recall it every night. No one wants to do that.
Eventually, Brendan stopped going to bed at all.
I would get in the car and I would drive. It would fill the hours. It would feel like I'm doing something instead of just looking at the ceiling or looking at the walls or looking at the clock. Eventually, it got to the stage where I would do a 6 or 7 hour drive and I would be returning home when it's bright out. I would literally do laps of Dublin, and on my own I would drive from Dublin to Cork, which would be around 6 hours return.
Brendan then asked his close friend Donal to join him on these long drives.
It started, he was driving on his own, and then he started to text me and ask, you know, for a company, and I didn't realise just how long we were going to be driving for. He seemed in relatively high spirits, all things considered at the start. He seemed to be coping reasonably well. But over time, you could see that things were starting to change a little bit. You could end up driving for up to 5 hours or more, and you could end up anywhere. Most of the time, the conversation was fairly casual. Most of the time, it was normal chit-chat between the two of us. But there were times when the conversation turned dark.
We used to joke saying that it's like our psychiatry session. Looking back, like, it was probably the only kind of positive reward I had in that whole period. Everything else was negative. Donald being there offered me strength when I had none.
I never really thought of the role that I was playing as being all that particularly important. I was a friend who was around when I was needed.
Later, Brendan discovers that when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up.
There's a lot of things that I need to deal with in high-performance sport, and I definitely fall back on things I've learned from the darkness. So, in a way, it's a silver lining, and I'm grateful for what happened.
In Birmingham, it's Black Friday, one of the busiest days for West Midlands Police. At Digbeth Police Station, Sergeant Dale Quiney is briefing the night shift for the evening ahead.
Our key point moving into sort of 11 o'clock time is in around showing high visibility in the key areas. That's going to be about interaction with the key bars and clubs and letting them know that they've got just as much a role to play tonight. Black Friday does bring extra risks to ourselves as police and also the ambulance service. The reason this is because people decide to go out, get drunk or take recreational drugs, which leads to them behaving totally irresponsibly, getting involved in fights, getting involved in antisocial behaviour, and we as the police then have to go in and take action. Right then folks, enjoy, feed into me, any issues, but it'll be a good one tonight.
It's 9 p.m. and PC's Dale Harwood and Martin Breon are headed out for their night shift in Birmingham city centre.
No, the regulars are out.
It's a busy night. We normally do these nighttime economies and we get the heavy footfall, but we've got quite a few other variables like concerts going on.
And the German markets.
And we've got the Christmas markets going on at the moment as well, so we've got a lot of people here for that. So you've got a lot of people in the city, and so we're going to have to try and deal with that as best we can, really. We will have a few more officers helping us. Still not enough, but a few more. We don't try and arrest. We're not trying to go out and purposely try and lock people up. That's not how we work. We want to just keep people safe, and hopefully they go home safe, and so do we at the end of the night. So just try and keep order, really. Us getting attacked, it's something that we think about all the time. It's whenever you come into work, you have that possibility of a job going sour, and you have the possibility of being attacked. Something so menial in terms of a job can sometimes turn into something horrible. You never really know. It really brings home that you have to be constantly on your guard about any job can change at any time, and it can be anything. Still scares you. The word scared is not something that we should be scared to say. You can be scared in this job quite easily.
That's it, wait, and then go when I'm coming towards you. This time's kind of like the calm before the storm. So what we try and do at this time of the evening is early intervention. So anyone who we think might be a possible issue later on, try and disperse them and get them out of the city. So they're not going to be a problem for us.
The team are now heading to patrol the pubs and clubs district of Birmingham. For extra support, they've been joined by their colleague, PC Andrew Hollies.
So we're going to have a little bimble and see what we can find.
A classic scenario would be nightclub ejections, fighting amongst rival groups or sometimes friends. That's quite a common one. And then the more major incidents we tend to have to deal with is robberies, cash point robberies, people getting taken off to the canal side or down the side alleys and get robbed by groups of people.
Within a few minutes, a call comes in regarding a club in one of the busiest night spots in the city centre, and they blue light their way to the area.
So we've got an incident going on at the moment where there's a male being aggressive to door staff. We do have a lot of other units going, but they just want a bit more support.
When PC's Dale and Martin arrive at the club, they find a huge crowd waiting to get inside.
They've got a ticketed event with university students, which we were aware of. They've sold 570 tickets, and it just seems like they've all turned up in one go, as opposed to progressive throughout the night. So there's quite a few people here at the minute, and they're all quite rowdy already, so just got to try and keep an eye on them.
More officers appear on the scene to help control the growing crowd of clubbers.
Get back!
With this many people in a confined space, it doesn't take long for the atmosphere to change. As the crowd gets impatient and begins to push, the police grow more concerned.
Guards, stop the pushing!
The club is now full to capacity. In the interest of everyone's safety, and before the situation spirals out of control, a decision is made to shut the doors for the rest of the night.
Move on, or prison, free entry for the next half hour.
It's a bit of chaos at the moment, to be fair. It could quite easily have gone off like a bottle of pop. And there's a lot of people getting a bit irate that they can't get let into the premises. I'd love to let them in, but there's too many people here and I've got too much risk of somebody getting injured at the moment. So we can't let them in and we've told them to move away, which they're not happy with.
For these young revellers, it's not exactly the night out they were hoping for. Officers now need to make sure the crowd disperses safely.
I'm telling you, the doors are shut, no one is getting in.
We've finally, after some negotiation, managed to disperse the crowd, and they've gone into the club next door. But very quickly that could have escalated into quite a dangerous situation with all the crowd pushing, people falling over, getting trampled on.
Luckily, this event has ended without incident, as the partygoers eventually head off into the night.
We're only there to help people, we're not there to try and be awkward. The safety of the people in the crowd was our priority then.
With the situation now handled, it's time to move on.
We're off. Compared to what we've just had, that's not too bad, is it? That's quite manageable.
The officers can now go home safe and sound, and Sergeant Quiney is happy with the team's performance.
I was extremely pleased with how the policing operation went on Black Friday. This was as a result of the professionalism that officers went out and how they dealt with all of the incidents that were thrown at them throughout that busy shift.
In Dublin, police officer Brendan Doyle was viciously attacked while attending a domestic dispute.
He went to stab me and then pushed me through the pane of glass.
It resulted in nightmares, and driving through the night with his friend Donal was the only way he could deal with his chronic insomnia. But the lack of sleep was beginning to have a profound effect on Brendan's life.
It was so consuming that, depression started setting in. It was a slow burner, and these things just started to develop on top of things, so it just kind of manifested. Everything was falling apart. I lost everything that made me who I was.
As well as depression, Brendan started to suffer from panic attacks.
My vest felt like a ton weight. My collar was tightening around my neck. My seatbelt was locking me into my chair. I was completely taken for surprise. I told my sergeant about this, and he suggested I take some time off, that there's something still going on. You need to take some time off to debrief.
After trying everything from counselling to sleeping pills to antidepressants, nothing worked.
I remember just waking up one day and decided that the only answer was to try to take my own life. You're so convinced that this is the only answer and there is no hope. I genuinely felt hopeless.
Thankfully, Brendan turned to the one person who'd already been down some long roads with him. And their conversation would spark the start of his recovery.
It was what I needed. I wouldn't have got through.
I was just trying to get you through to the next day.
Yeah. But that was like you were doing it every day, though. That's the thing.
For years.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone else would do that.
Brendan asked me what I thought he should be doing to get his head right. And I suggested sport.
He suggested I get back doing what I loved and try to get back on my feet. And he said, this has gone beyond ignoring it. And the only thing I knew that worked for me was exercise and sport. So I returned to that and tried to get back on my feet that way. That was the turning point for me.
It was, for sure, therapy. You really didn't realise the amount of help that you offered.
It was two lads actually talking, and talking with nobody else around, so you didn't have to worry about what you were saying. I couldn't believe that he actually took my advice. I didn't realise how significant this conversation was to him.
I owe him my life, absolutely owe him my life.
Brendan was finally in a position to make some positive changes in his life, but it would mean giving up the career he loved.
Despite being a job that I wanted, and in fact it was my dream job, I have to admit that I need to go down a different route now because of what happened, and I don't regret it. It was the easiest decision to make, but it was the toughest decision I've had to make. I just basically built it up slowly, a day, an hour. That slowly kind of evolved into 3 or 4 days, and I remember getting an offer from my local athletics club to say, do you want to go back sprinting? And I took that up, so that was structure now. Gave me a goal. I went from passive, hopeless, nothing, to looking forward to doing something constructive. And that kind of sparked positive reinforcement in my life, and it started seeping into other areas. Getting back into the gym was the catalyst for my kind of rehab. It's got me healthy, it's got me happy.
Returning to the gym led Brendan back to a winter sport he'd dabbled with in his teens. Skeleton racing. This has been a game changer.
I have a 4-year plan set out with the end goal obviously is to perform for Ireland in the 2022 games in Beijing. When I was struggling and you said, hey Brendan, hold on man, you're going to be going for the Olympic Games in 2022, I would have laughed at you. I'm the man I am because I suffered through what I suffered. The very thing that nearly ended everything is the thing that's fueled me through the problems and the hardships that are ahead of me. I've picked an incredibly difficult sport to do, and I'm competitive. And the only reason I'm competitive is because of my mindset. And I'm only able to do that because of what happened to me before.
Really lean on your arm. Okay. I need that falling start. He finished in the top 25 in the world, and last year at the World Championships. He's got every chance. He's got every chance of not just going to the Olympics, really causing a major upset at the Olympics.
I'm going to be hungrier than everyone else there, and I've got an awful lot of ambition to do my country proud.
If he got to the Olympic Games, it would show just how far he's come. But even if he didn't make the Games, he's already won to still be here at all.